at Duke Energy right now. Let's listen in.
Melissa Satius, president of Duke Energy Florida, Representatives Taylor Yukovsky, Keith Truenow, and John Paul Temple. We are here today. This is Duke Energy. They've been staging thousands of their own linemen along with trucks and other assets in preparation for the arrival of Hurricane Idalia. Florida Power and Light, TECO, and the co-ops and municipal utilities are also staging assets ready to deploy as soon as it's safe. Now, these companies have called in linemen from throughout the southeast as well as far away as places like Nebraska, who will be ready to roll as soon as the storm passes. There are over 25,000 linemen already in Florida as of this morning, and by the end of the day, we anticipate that to be between 30,000 and 40,000 linemen that will be here prior to the arrival of the storm, and then we'll move in to restore power as soon as the storm passes. Now, linemen are staging as far south as Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, and as far north as the Florida-Georgia line, and as far west as Chipley in the Panhandle. In addition to linemen, the power companies are also staging folks who will be ready to clear debris, set poles and lines, and augment the efforts done by Florida's Department of Transportation. Power restoration will be a joint effort, and all local municipalities should be ready to accept aid from other utility companies and their linemen to get power back on as soon as possible. And that's the ultimate goal, rapid restoration of power. This is a major hurricane. There's going to be a lot of debris, particularly in that Big Bend area. You're going to see a lot of power lines that are going to be down. And there's going to be a lot of need for all hands to be on deck, so please accept that mutual aid. We were able to, in Hurricane Ian, do a very rapid restoration of power in terms of affected customers. I think the times took a little longer were either major structural damage close to the storm or some co-ops didn't accept the mutual aid right at the beginning, and it took a little longer. So accept so we can get the job done. We want to be able to restore power, and so we do want to make sure that if you have a rural alternative, those folks get the help they need and are willing to accept the help that they need. So we know that this storm is going to hit the state of Florida tomorrow. It's going to be a major hurricane, most likely a Category 3 hurricane. It's been tracking into the Big Bend area pretty consistently with a little bit of variations. At the same time, I mean, you got to watch how this thing goes and where it can impact. It could veer west and hit places like Tallahassee. It could veer further east and end up impacting more directly other parts of the Florida Peninsula. So just make sure you're heeding the warnings from your local emergency management officials. Make sure you're doing what you need to do to keep yourself and your family safe. We have been working with the counties very closely over the past few days at the state level. We've received more than 450 active mission requests that the state is coordinating, and those requests have either been fulfilled or will be fulfilled sometime during today. We have staged a lot of gasoline, 420,000 gallons worth of gasoline. Sometimes you get fuel interruptions, sometimes you don't. We're going to be prepared if there are fuel interruptions to be able to fill the gap. We have all 8 of our urban search and rescue teams activated, and that's close to 600 search and rescue personnel. We hope to not have to need those folks. We hope nobody ends up in distress once the storm hits, but if there is, we're going to have folks that are going to go out there. Kevin Guthrie already mentioned earlier today that a storm that's hitting late morning, early afternoon, you'll probably end up getting calls as we get into the evening hours. We're going to be doing rescues at night as well. That's typically not the way you want to do it. Because there's going to be down power lines, there's going to be certain hazards. It's going to make it more difficult for our personnel, but we are going to be there, and we're going to get the job done. We're already delivering things like water, MREs, and tarps to local communities. Shelters are being opened or have been opened and are continuing to be open all across Florida's Gulf Coast and in beyond. We are deploying the Starlink internet. Almost 250 of those devices have been deployed, and we have over 500 staged and ready to go as those are needed going forward in the future. just thank everybody who's a part of the power restoration efforts. We appreciate what our electric utilities from Duke and FPL and TECO, as well as our municipal electric outfits and the co-ops. Thank you for taking this seriously. Thanks for the preparation. And when you prepare and you're ready to go, you can make that, you can accomplish that mission. But this is likely going to be a storm that's going to leave an awful lot of debris. I think there's going to be a need to do a lot of road operations. You know, in Hurricane Ian, there really weren't as many of the cut and toss operations. There was some, but when you look at where this storm is going to hit, there's a lot of heavily wooded areas. So I think you're going to see a lot of these trees knocked down. You're going to see power lines knocked down, and it's just going to require a concerted effort. So what Duke is doing, what the other companies are doing, is recognizing that this is a significant task, and it really will impact how we respond to this, how quickly we're able to get all this stuff back up and running. So I want to thank everyone who's been involved, and I can tell you the people of Florida really appreciate these linemen being out there. I can tell you after Hurricane Ian, it was like they'd see the folks racing into Fort Myers and these other areas, and they were very, very appreciative of all the hard work that was being done. This is not easy work, especially in late August in Florida. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be hot. There's going to be a lot of moving parts, and so this is really important work. The state of Florida very much appreciates everybody, particularly those who've come from out of state, to help the people of Florida, and I know the Floridians very much appreciate it as well. So thank you, and God bless you. Okay, we're going to hear from Kevin Guthrie.
Thank you, Governor, and again, thank you for your leadership. Thank you, CFO Petronas. I think I want to start with picking up where the Governor was going with, electrical companies being willing to accept assistance from each other. That is something that has not really happened very well underneath any other governor. This governor was able to pull it off with his leadership, and I'll tout Duke Energy and Melissa's team. $60 million plus is what work they did for Lee County Electric Cooperative down in Lee County, but that got the power back on in days versus what was going to be a total restoration of weeks and potentially months. And Melissa, your team, thank you guys that might have been down there. Thank you very much for what you guys did. So again, electrical companies in this area, Melissa is already said that she'll be more than happy to help out again. The governor has committed to making sure that gets done as well from a financial standpoint. So we just want to make sure that if you need help, you call us. Anything that's infrastructure, communications, cell phones. Again, as the governor mentioned, we're going to be out there working most likely tomorrow night as the storm passes and doing those rescues that need to happen overnight. We're going to be doing that. It's not going to be terribly safe. It's going to be dangerous working within trees that are down and power lines that are down, but we know that we're going to get the 911 calls, and we're getting to a point where we're prepared to do that. So again, I don't have a whole lot of prepared remarks for this because I did a CFO Petronas and I audibled right there at the very beginning. But again, if the takeaway here is, if you need power, if you're power dependent, if you cannot be without power for a couple of days, then you're going to need to seek do evacuation and seek shelter somewhere else, whether that's a friend, a family, a hotel, or one of the shelters, many shelters that are going to be opening up across this entire impacted area. Please do so. The time is now. Enact your plan. Start, if you haven't made those preparations, start moving into action. Find out where you're going to go. Do that today. Thank you, Governor.
Okay, Melissa.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Melissa Seixas, State President for Duke Energy Florida. I first want to thank the Governor for his leadership. Had the opportunity to speak with him early yesterday morning to brief him on where we are in preparation for this particular storm. He has been there every time that we've needed to speak with him, and it has made a real difference. I also want to thank, of course, Kevin Guthrie, who's done an outstanding job leading emergency management for the state of Florida, working with our county EOCs as well, and we always welcome CFO Petronas as well. I do want to take a moment to recognize Barry Anderson, our Senior Vice President of Distribution here in the state of Florida for Duke Energy, and Glenn Dooley, VP of Transmission. They are literally the leaders who are responsible for the poles and wires and substations here in the state of Florida. But a very special thank you to the employees who are standing behind me today, because they are the ones who leave their families to go out for days, possibly weeks at a time, especially if they're going off system to help in other locations. They work tirelessly to ensure that customers are getting the lights back on. So as the governor and Director Guthrie noted, we are prepared, we are ready here at Duke Energy Florida, and we really, even at this hour, want to encourage our customers to be prepared as well. You need to take this storm seriously. Once the storm has passed, we will immediately begin damage assessment to understand where the greatest impacts are. We will then move the resources that the governor mentioned from the places like the Villages and Tropicana Field out to base camps that will allow us to deploy those resources as close as possible to the heavily impacted areas. So our jobs for all of you and for the citizens of the state of Florida are to help you get back to living your lives, and we will do that both safely and as quickly as possible. So thank you.
Okay, Jimmy.
Thank you, Governor. Governor, last night I put on social media, I said, not all heroes have capes. Some of them have hard hats. And it's just a real honor to see the type of coordination that's happened here. 1,500 linemen will be pre-staged prior to the storm making landfall, and they will work feverishly around the clock 24/7 to reestablish power. One thing that none of us can control, we can't control what's going to happen with vegetation, what's going to happen with trees. Trees will go down, they will fall, they will take down lines. Those lines can be hot, they can be dangerous. We need you to make sure you're heeding the warnings of your local officials. I'll just remind everybody, it wasn't that long ago, just a few months ago in Southwest Florida, we had over 24 inches of rain in a 48-hour period. So that type of catastrophic flash flood event is going to create challenges for our first responders, our linemen, for everybody trying to assist in need. This is why it's so important that you go ahead, don't be stubborn, take the effort and evacuate to a safe shelter where there is the type of resources you might need. If you're in a need of medical attention, the shelters will have that. There's so many resources that are there because the state of Florida wants to protect you. That's what this governor does. He protects you. That's what he does every day when he gets up every single morning. His leadership is appreciated, but I just want to tell folks, we're not going to leave you until everything is taken care of. When it comes to your insurance, I want you to do this. You've got a few hours left in the day. It's not raining right now. But we right now, folks, whether you believe it or not, we're a smartphone society. So what I want you to do is take your phone and go take a picture. Take a video of the outside of your house. Go take pictures of what it looks like today, right now. Not tomorrow after the storm hits, right now. If you do that, I want you to go inside and do the same. Take pictures of the inside of your house so you can make a photographic inventory of what you're entitled to if you have to file an insurance claim. It's that simple. An adjuster is going to show up in about 3 or 4 days. They're going to say, gosh, what happened to Kevin's house? Well, you're going to have photographic evidence to show them what the house looked like before and now what it looks like after. It's cut and dry. It makes the claims process that much easier to process. So please, err on the side of caution. Take the evacuation order seriously. Look out for our first responders. They're going to be leaving their families to protect you. Don't be foolhardy and stubborn and not heed those warnings. Again, you can visit preparefl.com. That is our state's emergency preparedness website out of our office. There's a checklist there telling you what you should consider. The Office of Insurance Regulation is leaning forward to make sure that any claims, any processing, your health insurance, you're not going to have any frustrations. But again, understand you're going to have several days where you may not be able to access a pharmacy. Hopefully you've got the necessary drugs in hand to help you through the next few days because of potential flooding, down power lines, impassable roads. But again, Governor, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for forcing all these players to be on the same page. You got good legislators here. Hold them accountable. If you need anything, I expect you to pick up the phone and call Taylor. Tell Taylor what you need. And if you need me, you can call me. I'm available on Twitter or 583-1817. God bless y'all. Thank you so much. Thanks, Governor.
So you do still have some time. We're going to probably start feeling some impact what part of the state you are later today. You do have time over these next few hours to put in plan to put into execution your plan. So we'd encourage you to do that. And we are going to have a lot of resources, of course, will be brought to bear as soon as the storm passes to get people back on their feet. If you have any questions, you can visit floridadisaster.org/get-a-plan. Assume you're going to lose power if you're in the path of this storm. That's likely to happen, and so just prepare for that, expect that, and know what you're going to do to be able to get through that, knowing that we got a lot of people that are going to be working as soon as it's safe to do so to connect people back. Now, there's going to be, if power lines get like knocked down, that's pretty easy for these guys to fix. You can just kind of reconnect it. If there's structural damage to any part of power delivery, sometimes that could take a little bit longer, and who knows what's in store for us. So there's a wide range of things that can happen, but we've got a lot of resources ready to go, and we know how important it is to be able to get people back on their feet, especially in the dog days of August. Okay, with that, anybody have any questions? All right, we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
All right, you were just listening to Governor Ron DeSantis at Duke Energy in Wildwood, giving an update on the preparations for Hurricane Idalia. He and other officials urging people to take this storm seriously and anticipate widespread power outages. Linemen have come from as far as Nebraska. 25,000 are already stationed here in Florida, and up to 40,000 will be stationed before the storm hits. And after it passes, they will get to work right away to restore power. However, they are urging people to evacuate now and seek shelter if they absolutely do need power to survive, if they have any medical issues or anything like that.